everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our ShareFile admin training. We're here on the Customer Success Management team and are happy to go over the ShareFile setup, best tricks, and tips today. Before we get started, depending on the licensing that you purchased, the tool may be called Content Collaboration, Citrix Files, or even ShareFile. The tool features are all the same, but just to avoid confusion as we're going through the presentation, we will use all three namings. We also have added our reference guide, so as we go through the slide deck today, you'll note that the reference guide is listed as a resource on the control panel here within GoToWebinar. So all the linked material that we go through today, you'll have access to even after the session today. We will also be taking questions throughout the presentation, so as you have questions, please enter them into the questions box also on your GoToWebinar control panel. You'll be able to enter in questions as we go, but we'll wait until the end of the presentation to go through all of the questions then. Feel free to ask for us to deep dive any of the features or even ask a question about a topic that maybe we haven't touched. We'll be more than happy to re-review or deep dive into that feature. For today's session, our presenters are Megan DeKramer, Senior Program Manager of Customer Success, Kruti Karsane, Senior Product Manager of Admin Experience, and our technical guru, Jose Yulico, Customer Success Manager in the Americas. So let's go over the agenda. First, we'll go over account setup, locating the welcome email and sign-in. We'll also go over your personal settings, security features, and also our prerequisite checklist that you'll want before implementing the tool. After, we'll go to features inside the tool, so admin settings and your folder structure. And then we'll go into creating employee users and creating clients. We'll finish up the presentation going over reporting and then also our ShareFile migration tool. Account setup. All right, Jose, ready to go through our account setup?
Hi, Megan. Yes, thank you. So first things first, the admin of the account should be receiving a welcome email, and this is the initial email that ShareFile sends to the account owner or administrator. Depending on the version that you guys have, you should see something like this. But the important thing is that the account administrator should just click on Activate ShareFile in order to activate the account and start using ShareFile. Now, in case that you ever need assistance on activating your account or you misplace the email, you can always refer to the resource available in order to get assistance. For the login page, what you should know is that all you have to do will be to enter just your email address and the password that you set up once you activated your account. And in the case that you forgot your password, you can always click on the Forgot Password link, which is down below the Sign In button, which will then allow you to enter the email address that you use for registration, and then you will be receiving the instructions on how to reset your own password for ShareFile there on that email address. Now, personal settings.
Perfect. I'm glad to go through personal settings. So our personal settings, we have 5 different settings. We have Edit Your Profile, which is where you can go and easily change your password. You can update your email address and even update email notifications. We also have Personal Security. So this is where you can update your 2-step verification for your phone or any device, mobile device that you have to provide an extra layer of security. We also have connectors and advanced connectors, where connectors allow you to connect to other additional cloud service tools. Then finally, we have My Apps and Devices. You can lock a user account on any device to prevent this user from accessing the ShareFile data within your account. This is very important for security. So speaking of security, let's then go into security features.
Thanks, Megan. So let's talk a little bit about security. One of the pillars that we continuously build upon with ShareFile is security. We believe that securing data is critical to every business, whether that be a small business or an enterprise. Hence, building security with intention is a responsibility taken seriously by our team. Here are some quick ways that we add a layer of security to our tools. So the first one is, if you're in a specific industry that requires compliance, we have the ability to provide you with a HIPAA, FINRA, or CFPB compliant ShareFile account. The second one is that all of our data centers are SOC 2 compliant and SSAE 16 compliant. Number 3 is we strive to maintain the 3 nines uptime so that your day-to-day business operations do not get interrupted due to lack of availability. 4, we provide storage recovery around the globe. And then 5, we support TLS 1.0, 1.1, and 1.2. These are some encryption protocols and algorithms used by e-commerce services and online banking. In addition, we store your at-rest data with AES 256-bit encryption. As we just reviewed, with growing concerns about data security, particularly in regulated industries such as healthcare and finance, protecting how you communicate and share files with clients isn't something to take lightly. Security can seem almost commoditized these days, expected even, but encryption isn't just for files these days. With ShareFile, you can encrypt the body of an email message and all attachments with one click, right from Microsoft Outlook or any web browser. With this all-in-one encrypted email solution, you can streamline communication and simplify the way you handle your sensitive data or protected data. It's secure file sharing taken to the next level. Here are 2 ways ShareFile makes encrypted email easier. 1, encrypted email within Microsoft Outlook, and then 2, encrypted email from any browser.
Thank you, Kruti. So now let's talk about what are the ways that ShareFile gives to the administrators in order to manage that security. First, we have the option to set the password settings, which will basically allow you as an administrator to set a minimum password length, the quantity of numbers that you would require, and even quantity of special characters that might be required. You can also set up the expiration time in days for the password to work, and then the quantity of previous unique passwords that you will allow on the account. At the bottom, you will have a summary of all of these password policies that you have just applied to the account. So another of the security settings are the login and security settings. We have there the trust domains, two-step verification, and trusted device. The trust domains is basically a simple way to allow requests between your own websites and ShareFile to be enabled. Two-step verification is going to give you the flexibility to set policies for a specific user group to use the two-step verification process and provide an extra layer of security on your account. And trusted device will allow you to have clients avoiding entering many verification codes because it will simply just ask to trust this device. Also, we have the account locked out configuration, which is going to allow you to set your own policy for managing multiple failed login attempts. Terms and conditions, which will allow you to prompt your users to accept ShareFile terms and conditions. And if you want to enable this feature, please reach out to our support team. And we also have the IP restrictions, which will allow you to have control over access to your ShareFile domain. As an example, you can restrict IP address ranges outside of your network. You can blacklist or whitelist a specific IP address to ensure that your ShareFile account is not accessed from any specific IP address. If you want to enable this policy, please contact our support team. SAML and single sign-on. The single sign-on is a feature that we have available here. So in order for you to use your Active Directory credentials or allow your employees to use them in order to log into ShareFile. If you're interested on having this feature, please reach out to our support or consult the resource that we have available.
All right, so let's get to the admin settings first. So in order to go there from your left panel while you're on the dashboard or anywhere on the ShareFile, just click on Settings and then Admin Settings. Over here, we will have the basic information that the account administration will be able to access. So we have the admin view where you can find all the information regarding the access, the admin information, who's the owner of the account, and how the account is being used, the licenses. We also have the background operations. This is basically a place where you will be able to see all the operations that are on queue. As an example, when you're uploading or downloading something or syncing files. We also have the company account information here. We will have sections to go over the reporting, where you can actually get reports on how the account is being used, notification history, also where you can get more information on notifications there on ShareFile, and edit account branding, where you can actually customize your ShareFile page, login page, and even the emails that are sent through ShareFile. We also have the security option here, where you will be able to get more information on data loss prevention, right? The password requirements, where you will be able to actually set your own parameters. So as an example, you can set the minimum password length, how many numbers the password should contain, and how many special characters as well. At the bottom, you will have a summary on all the policies that you have just applied to your passwords. We also have the login security policy, where you will be able to set trusted domains, two-step verification, and account locked out verification. We also have the option to configure device security, where you will be able to set how the devices will be connected to ShareFile. So these are for advanced administrators to configure how securely do they want to have their users using the device. Finally, we have the edit super users group, and this is to allow some of the employees to have access to all folders account-wide, right? And it is important to note that this membership, it only applies to folders, not to account properties, right? Going forward, we also have the policy section, where you can get the policy management, and you can basically set up policies for group to be managed. So the different groups might have different policies, and you can apply and add people or remove people from those groups. We also have the connector section, where you can actually set up if you want to allow your users to have different connectors there working with their ShareFile account. Storage zones. This is in case that you have multiple storage zones, some managed by Citrix and others that you could manage locally or on premises.
All right, thank you, Jose. So now we'll go into the prerequisites. So when beginning to set up ShareFile, there are prerequisites to implementation. These are key considerations that you'll want to review before you start to set up the tool for your users. Our customer success team has built a prerequisite checklist to guide you through everything that you need to consider in terms of your storage zone, file security, compliance, and user management. So these are all of the technical prerequisites that you'll need to then start setting it up. You'll want to make sure to go through each step in the guide to make sure that you've considered your entire environment, and then you'll be able to go through the implementation guide that is also listed on our Customer Success Center. Once you have implementation, you'll be ready to go through the tool and make sure that all of the settings are correct. That's where we'll take a look at inside the tool. So first we'll go into folder structure. Jose?
Thank you, Megan. So yeah, the folder structure is very important to understand, because in ShareFile, in order for you to add users first, you need to make sure that you have created folders first. This is something that needs to be taken care of prior to start adding users. Now, let's discuss the admin settings. So for the admin settings, we have different other options than the ones that I mentioned. As an example, we have the background operations, which, as we mentioned, are where files are processed, will show their progress. Security, where the DLP will be configured. Policies will be where basically all of the group policies will be created to manage different groups. And the connectors, storage zone setup. All right, for admin advanced preferences, we have email settings, which will allow you to set how often and how the emails for ShareFile shares will be sent to the receivers. Also permissions, where you can set whether or not you will allow clients to share content that has been shared to them. Also, we have file settings, where you can set versioning and other settings that will be available for you regarding files. Enable ShareFile tools, where we'll be able to configure which applications will you allow to have your employees using, and also you will get there the configuration for the all plugin. Folder templates, which will allow you to set a standardized structure of folders that can be used for employees and later be applied to any specific folder. Remote upload forms, which will allow you to embed a link on your website in order to have your clients logging in there and uploading files directly to you. File drops, which will allow you to put a link on your website so that your clients can click there and select which employee do they want to share a file with, so they can upload a file there, and also the configuration for the Outlook plugin, as I already mentioned. We also have advanced configurations regarding the Outlook plugin, where you will be able to set default configuration for how the employees will use this tool on their computers. You will be able to set on a specific attachment policy, link insertion policy. You will see some link options there that you can set as default, and also you can change how the encrypted email will behave account-wide. Other of the advanced preferences that we have available is the folder templates. That is going to save you some time by standardizing folder structure across the account, meaning that you will be able to create a specific folder structure that can be later be applied to any of the folders that have been created within your organization. This is a great way to standardize client or team folders across the account.
All right, now let's see the advanced preferences. So in order to get there, first I need to go to settings and then admin settings and advanced preferences. All right, under advanced preferences, I will have different options. As an example, email settings, which will allow me to configure how the communications will be sent through ShareFile. So I can send here if I want to send emails from ShareFile directly, or if I want them to be sent from the user that is sharing the file. Right. I can also configure the SMTP server settings here. You will get the instructions over here by clicking on the link. You could also get the option to notify their users on their own activity, right? So employees or clients will be receiving a notification about the actions that they perform with ShareFile. Upload receipts is basically just to configure an option to allow whoever is uploading something to receive an email confirmation about the file that they uploaded. Here you can configure how often you will be receiving email notifications on ShareFile as an employee. So you can, put a little bit less minutes here as a notification, or you can also configure the default language. You will be also able to add a secondary email address here to use on ShareFile. We also have the permissions option over here. Basically, it's for you to allow clients to share files that you have been sharing with them, right? By default, this is set to no. We also have the folder access list, which is basically an option to allow users that are added to a folder to see who else is added to that folder. By default, this is set to no. File settings is where we can actually work on different settings like the retention policy. So if you want to apply an account-wide policy for retention, this is where you can put it there. By default, this is no. Sorting, if you want to change how the files are sorted out on your folders view, this is the place where you can set this as an account-wide default. Versioning will allow you to either disable or enable the versioning option that ShareFile has, and change how many versions will you allow to have for specific files. Storage quota, if you want to enable the storage quota for users, then this is the default value that you can set. And anything which is exclusive for users that are using the Office 365 licenses, this is just for them to be able to edit online using ShareFile. We also have the Enable ShareFile Tools section, where you will be able to configure how do you want the applications to work with ShareFile. And I'm talking about the applications that ShareFile gives you. So we have the desktop apps, for example, and we also have here the Outlook plugin. So on the Outlook plugin, if you go there, you will be able to set default policies that will be mandatory for your employees to follow. So you can even prevent user changes, meaning that they won't be able to change those defaulted settings that you have applied account-wide. We also have the folder template section, where you will be able to create a folder structure that can later be applied to any of the folders that have been created under your account, therefore saving some time by just taking over an existing folder structure and applying it. We also have the remote upload forms, which is basically going to allow you to create an HTML code that is going to be able to be placed on your website, where your clients should be able to go there and just upload a file while also filling out a form that could be customized by you. We also have the file drops, which is basically going to allow you to put a link on your website that is going to make it possible for your clients to upload a file and select to which of your employees that file should go to. And this file will go directly to that specific file box for that specific employee that they selected.
Great, thank you, Jose. So now let's go into licensing and managing employees and client users.
Thank you, Megan. So first things first will be creating employees. Now, in order to create employees, there are 3 basic steps that you need to follow. The first one will be to add the user information, and then basically make sure that this person email address is correctly spelled, because they will be receiving a welcome email to activate their own account. Now, the step 2 will be the user settings. User settings is where the administrator or the person that is creating this employee will have to set which accesses does this person have or will this employee have in their account. We recommend to set default values in case that you have doubts. Okay, and step 3 will be basically to set up the folder accesses. At this point, we will be able to either assign this specific employee or user to a folder. We will be able to add them to a distribution group, or we will be able to also copy access from an existing user in order to clone those access to this specific employee. ShareFile will allow you to have different ways to control who is accessing this content. So regarding that, we have to make a distinction on the ways that you can manage the account. We have master admins, which will be users that have been granted the access that allow them to manage other users and some account-wide settings. We also have the super users, which is a group that has access to all the other users' content. The membership to this super users group does not grant account-wide admin policies. This is only affecting folder-wise. We also have the distribution groups, which is an easy way to manage groups that to give them access to specific files and folders instead of managing them individually. It also works when you want to send out a specific file or request a specific file to multiple users instead of individuals. So creating clients, you will be able to create clients in order to add them as users, client users on your ShareFile account, and then you will be able to allow them in any folder with a specific access that you might be set later. A client will not consume a license, as you can add as many as you want to. The only ones that will consume a license will be employee type users. You can create as many clients as needed, as I already mentioned. And also, you can add clients to your folders and manage their folder and access activity later on. Clients will only be able to see share folders that have been assigned to them. Those are folders that they have been granted permissions. And they will be only able to adjust their login details as part of the only configuration options that they have available. Clients will not be able to create any personal folders or to work anyhow within the account administration options.
Okay, excellent. Now let's add an employee to this account. So the first thing that I need to do will be to click on People and then Manage Users Home. Over here, I will have the option to create an employee. Now let's remember, every time that you create an employee, it's going to take one of your licenses. Right. The first thing that I will have to do will be to enter that person's information. All right. Once I'm done with that, I should be able to proceed with step 2, which is providing the user with the access that they need. So for employees, We strongly recommend to leave the default settings if you don't know what you're doing. But to give you a brief overview, you will be able to basically give them the rights to change their password, access their personal settings. They will be able to create root level folders in the share folder section. So this is important. If you don't want them to do this, just remove this option, which is given by default. They will have a personal file box, and we strongly recommend not to remove this one, right? Because it could affect other functions on ShareFile. You can see that down below, I will have the option to give them the way to manage clients, which is set by default, but also manage employees, which is recommended for people that will be taking administrative roles or other employees. They will be able to edit the shared address book as well by default, and you can even give them the access to change the account appearance, access reporting, and also get the billing information as well. They will be able also to be set with the option to create and manage their own connectors, shared port connectors and network share connectors if you want them to have that option. And on the advanced preferences here, they will be able to manage folder templates and remote upload forms. For this demo, I would leave it with default options. On step 3, you will notice that now here is where I can actually assign this person to a specific folder, add this employee to a distribution group, or if I want to give this employee the access, exact same access from another user, right? So you will basically be cloning access from a reference user. So let me just assign a folder to this employee. And then what I'll need to do will be to set what kind of permissions do I want this employee to have on that specific folder. So by default, every user that you add to a folder will have view, download, and upload access to that folder. So if you want to give them this access is okay, or if you want to give them further access, you can, just give them the delete so they can delete items from there. Or the alerts, if you want this user to be notified whenever something is uploaded or downloaded. To be able to have the download alerts, they must be admins. So if that's what I wanted to do, I just going to set that up. Click on done. And you see that now it says create and continue, which I'm going to click on. And right now I will have pretty much a preview on the message that this employee is about to receive, right? All I have to do will be to modify the message as I want it. And when I'm ready, I'm just going to click on notify, and this will send an email to my employee. Now, let's create a client user so you see how it works. So I can either click on browse clients and click on create client, or I can go back on manage users home and create it from there, right? So, okay, this time I will be creating a client user. So you will notice that step 1 is pretty much the same thing, right? You have to enter that person's information. And you're going to notice that on step 2, there's a huge difference, because for a client type user, I'm only able to change whether or not do I want them to have the ability to change their own password and access their personal settings. So these are the only 2 options that you can set for a client type user, right? At step 3, I can basically have them assigned to a folder as I did with an employee type user. I can add them to a distribution group, right? Or I can just clone the access from one of the other users that I have. So as an example, if I was creating a new client from a company that I've been working on, and I want to clone the access for another client user from the same company that I already have on my account, I should be able to do that by selecting that option. So for this demo, I'm just going to create this user without signing into a folder, to a distribution group, or without cloning any type of access, right? I'm just going to continue anyway. And you're going to notice that this is a preview on the message that this client should be receiving, letting them know that they have been added to a ShareFile account. So I'm just going to notify, and there you go. The invitation has been sent.
Great, Jose. Now let's go into reporting.
Okay, for reporting, we just need to take in consideration the different kind of reports that ShareFile will allow you to get. So these are either ad hoc reports or recurring reports. The reports will be based on different characteristics that you might want to get info about. So as an example, you will be able to get reports on usage, access, or storage details, right? The reports will be generated in Excel format or CSV files, and you can set them out accordingly. The ShareFile data migration tool is a very useful tool that we have available, and it's basically going to allow you to move files from an on-premise location to your ShareFile account in the cloud. So basically, you will be able to select what data do you want to migrate from a local computer into the cloud, right? This works as for when you want to move big chunks of data, and also when you want to have a little bit more control of what kind of data is being migrated. As an example, you're going to notice that you will be able to transfer data plus permissions, and regarding the permissions, they can be mapped to either personal folders or shared folders. You will find more information on the how-to guide that is available on the resources.
Great, thank you, Jose. So now that we've come to this portion of our webinar, we would like to open up to any questions that may have come into the chat or any questions that you currently have. So please just enter your questions into the control panel on the right side of your screen. We're happy to go over any of the features again. We can deep dive into any specific features that you have questions on. We're ready to get started. So enter your questions, and looks like we have a few questions already.
All right, well, thank you everybody for joining us here. I'm Jose Yalico, and I will be helping you guys with the questions today. Please remember that this time is set for you guys, so don't be afraid to ask any questions on our Q&A section, and we will do our best to try to answer as many as possible. We already have some questions here, so we'll start picking them randomly, so don't be afraid and go ahead and ask your questions. All right, it looks like we have a couple, okay, so if my company changes its email address, is there any way to change all users from our company to the new email address? Well, that's an excellent question. We have different provisioning tools that could be used at this specific moment. One of them is the user management tool, right? However, like given a situation in which like the subdomain of an email address, let's say company A, right? So my email was joseyalico@companyaa.com, and then it was just changed to, I don't know, let's say, I don't know, corporation A or something. So Jose Yalico at corporation A, and now all of my employees need to go through that change. This could be something done using the user management tool, right? The user management tool, that's the information that you can find on our help section. Let me just go ahead and show you over here. If you go to help, right, you go and click where it says visit help center. Okay, so you can see here more from a knowledge base, right? So just opening up the knowledge base main website where you can actually look for more details. So user management tool. Of course, like this is supposing that you're using this tool to provision your customers. There you go. I mean, your employees. So what this allows you is to use the information from an Active Directory, right? You know, groups and all of that. So I strongly recommend you to take a look at this, right? If you have not used this before, right, and the users are already set with different permissions or in the different ways, then I guess it has to be manually done, right? However, if there's any provision, use this tool, then this tool will be helping you to get that updated, right? Of course, you will need to have a service account with full read access to your Active Directory domain, right? So it's a domain join machine, the one that you will need. And based on the users that you have there, it's going to read all of the changes, right? And this also, of course, also works for provisioning with an identity provider, and having the users log in using their AD credentials as well. Right. So we have more questions regarding. Okay, let's see. If I have clients folders saved on my network drive, can I move them on to ShareFile? Yes, you can. Like we have different solutions that will allow you to do something like that, right? Of course, you will depend on your network connectivity. One of the things that I will suggest using, right? Let me just show you here. It's going to be the Citrix files, right? This is a great tool. So Citrix files, you can download it as an employee and even as a client user. That's the benefit of the tool, right? It's going to allow you to be downloaded and used by either employees or clients. So that's great. Of course, as long as the admin of the account allows it, right? This tool could be limited. So all you have to do will be to go to the app section, right, and look over for Citrix files for Windows, right, in case that you have a Windows OS computer. We also have a similar version for Mac, right, and it's called Citrix files for Mac. But it's basically what it's going to allow you to do is, like, let me just show you here briefly. Just going to move over my Explorer here. Whoop, sorry. So as you can see, I have plenty of information, right? Citrix files for Windows looks like a network drive, like an additional network drive. You can see that I have right now some features, right? Some hard drives, physical hard drives, which are on my computer, of course, my laptop. And then I have the Citrix files, which has the ShareFile icon, right, on blue. And then I also have a network drive. So the best scenario to do that will be to just move over the information that you need to. It's quite simple, right? So let's see, this is a recording that I have. I can just Control C, right? Or Control X if I wanted to, right? Just cut this out and then go over my Citrix files here. I can, go to my share folders from here, right? And let's say that this should go to the Aquabats folder, right? Which is, there you go. And now I'm gonna just paste it over here. This is the easiest way to actually move something, right? Of course, there's many things that you need to consider, right? As an example, your network speed, the file size. If you need to move over big chunks of data, then we have something that is called the migration tool, right? You can look for that as well on the knowledge base here. So just type in migration, and the system will pretty much give you more details on that, right? So if you need to move over big chunks of data, the best thing to do to use will be the migration tool. If there's like, just basic folders are not too bigger than, let's say, a couple, like a gigs or so, you can do it manually. Right. So hope that helps to answer that question. All right. Looking forward to more questions. Well, we have plenty of questions. Let's see which one we can take here. So, okay, how do you move files from personal folders to share folders? Well, that's quite simple as well. Let's say that I'm here on my personal folders, right? Personal folders, by the way, just to make a distinction, is basically a folder that gets created for each employee user that logs in into a ShareFile account, right? So you can see that my ShareFile account, my subdomain is Jose Yalico ENT, that's for enterprise.sharefile.com. So as an employee of this account, I am assigned a personal folder section where I can basically do whatever I want, right? I can create folders. These folders by default are not shared with anyone, right? So this is my own personal section. I like to compare it with pretty much like my documents on any given, Windows computer, right? As soon as you log in with a user, you get my folders on your pretty much on your account, on your session, right? It's somebody else using the same computer from my company, let's say from Citrix. As soon as he logs in, the system is going to recreate a local profile on that computer, and it's going to create a my document section for that person as well. So it works pretty much the same, right? So one person that gets an employee license assigned in ShareFile gets personal folder sections created, right? You can move things around right? So I can just, as an example, I can go here to the right signature folder, right? And let's say that I want to move this over to my share folders. I should just select it, go to more, and then go to move, right? And then, just pick wherever I want to move this to, right? Let's say that this is a financial form, so I should move it there, right? Let's just click on move, and that's it. I mean, as simple as that, right? Things that you need to consider, in order for you to successfully move something out of a folder, on that given folder, you should have the lead access, right? This is because technically when you're moving a folder, you're copying that file, right? And then pasting it somewhere else, right? On let's say folder B, and then on folder A, where it was originally located, that copy is going to be deleted, right? So technically, in order for you to successfully move something out, you should be granted delete rights over that specific folder, right? If you don't even see this tab over the folder where you are located right now, most likely you don't have delete rights, because this tab will only show up for people that have admin rights on any given folder, right? Meaning that, if you see this tab, you are allowed most likely to manage this folder rights, and then you can assign yourself delete access most likely, right? If not, then you should contact the folder administrator to get the rights, or at least to have them helping you moving out the files, right? The other option will be, of course, to just, create a copy, right? And then, move the copy over the location where you want it to, right? The only thing with that is that the original file will remain where it was originally saved. Okay, hope that helps to answer that question. So let's see, we have way more questions here, guys. Thank you very much for the participation. I encourage you to keep on asking questions. We still have more time, and I'm trying to pick them as randomly, so everybody gets a chance to get at least one or two questions answers. All right. So, okay, let's see. I'm going to be transferring a lot of documents from Dropbox into ShareFile. Do you have any best practices to make the document transfer process efficient and less stressful? Yes, we can give you some best practices. So there are different things that you can do, right? As an example, you can set up connectors, right? For personal connectors. So how does that work? It basically allows you to, let me just show you here. As an administrator, you should go to, oh, wait, just one second. There you go. Okay. I'm sorry, I lost my mouse for a second. So as an administrator, you can allow personal cloud connectors to be linked with your ShareFile account, right? So this will allow you to integrate Dropbox, Box, or some other personal cloud connectors within your ShareFile account, so you can start pulling data from that, right? I go into the admin settings here, settings, admin settings, and then there's a place called connectors over here, right? You're gonna notice that I have already some of them enabled, right? This means that as an administrator, I have enabled this account, the Jose Yalico ENT, to use or to connect to this personal cloud providers, right? So as you can see, there are some of them down below that haven't been enabled yet, and the ones up top have been enabled. So once you as an administrator enable them, you need to manage the access, right? So manage access will allow you to pretty much pick up, which employees are allowed to use this, right? But because even though you set the first rule to allow it account-wide, you can, specify, okay, now that it's allowed account-wide, which users are allowed to use it, right? Not by enable it account-wide, you will be allowing pretty much everyone to use it. That's important to understand. So you can limit this, right? So as you can see myself, I'm at it here, so I'm just gonna cancel it out, right? And then as I'm user, right? Remember, I'm logging here as an admin user, so I have to explain both the admin interface and then as a user interface, right? So as a user, if I want to connect that now that I'm allowed, I should go to settings, personal settings, right? And then my connectors. Over here, you can see that I can connect to the ones that I have already have access to, right? And it will be just a matter of, enter my credentials in, well, it's not loading here. Enter my credentials and just logging in there. Once I'm logged in, if I go to the folder section, I should be able to access this repository so I can start moving or copying things out, right? That's one option. The other option that I will recommend will be the data migration tool. So my advice for you will be to actually just try to download the data as well. If there's like a lot of data, there's a lot of solutions. So, coming out for another from competitors, right? They sometimes have solutions to download bulk data. And then once you have this locally on a machine, right, you can get to the migration tool, right? The ones that I was talking about earlier. And then by using that tool, you should be able to, move big chunks of data locally from your computer up to the cloud, right? Let me just look for the migration tool. Okay. By the way, all of this will be on the handout section. There's an article showing you different resources that we have referenced today, and there it is, right? The data migration tool. It works great. I strongly recommend you guys to, just read through this specific knowledge base article. There's going to be some limitations, right, regarding the requirements, especially the .NET framework. This is very important, right? Uh, but you will even have some best practices here as well. So I strongly recommend you to look for this solution whenever you need to migrate big chunks of data. If it is not that big, like just specific folders, then you should be able to do it manually. All right. So let's continue with the questions here. I would like to just thank you guys. All right. So I would like to see what other questions do we have here. So let's see. Okay, yeah, this is a good one. So what's the difference between Citrix files, the one that I just showed, with ShareFile desktop? Okay, this is important for you guys to understand because the desktop application, which is still available, if I'm not mistaken, let me just double check it here. There you go, going to the app section. And there you go. This is the desktop app. The desktop app is a very old solution. I like it a lot when it came out. Well, actually, when when I started using it, because it allowed me to access basically everything that I have from my ShareFile account, the web interface. However, it was just another solution. Now, Citrix Files for Windows is gonna take over the desktop app. Desktop app will be discontinued shortly, right? So you guys will be receiving notifications on this. The good news is that we are replacing this for a way better solution, which is the Citrix Files for Windows, right? Or Mac, in the case that you have Mac. So as you can see here, this is something that I would like to show you. Let me just go to my share folders here. So you see the general overview. So you see that on my share folders, I have clients, demo one, financial team, etc. All of my folders. Now I will have exactly the same folders available over here, right? Just going to my share folders. And there you go. What's the benefit of this? The benefit of this, of having this application installed, is that you can access all of the files that you have access to from the website, but using a more familiar interface. In this case, the Windows Explorer, right? You can do many things. Like if I wanted to, I don't know, as an example, move something around from one of my local folders to my ShareFile, any of my ShareFile folders, I could do that as well, right? Let me just go here and show you how simple is that, right? So notice that I don't have any web interface open at this very moment, right? And everything that I will be doing is going to be using just my um, file explorer, right? So all I need to do will be to just move over, drag and drop. Let's move them this on forms, on financial team, right? And at that very moment, if I go there, you're going to notice, let me just maximize this, right? Notice the icons, right? I just copy them. This one is ready. There you go. I got a notification, by the way, every time. So you can, forget about opening your website and logging in into ShareFile. This just requires a one-time login, right? And then every time that you turn on your machine, is going to log you on and start doing working on the process, right? So there you go. Now, if I go to this folder, financial team, I should have the test and test two files there. So let me just show you, right? Financial team, right? There you go. Whoop. By the way, you can see that this folder had a retention policy because it's to save reports, right? But just for the sake of this demo, you can see that the files that I just moved by drag and drop in using File Explorer were easily moved over there, right? And whoever has access to this folder will have access to those files as well. So this is great, right? Just imagine how simple this is going to be to work with your clients. If they actually have this one set up, the Citrix files for Windows, then you guys can, be working live or collaborating live on documents without the struggle of even having calls or anything like that, right? So for me, is a great replacement for the desktop tool, right? And just for you guys to be aware, remember, desktop tool will be, most likely the commission anytime, like in short to middle term. And the solution that we will be asking you guys to use instead is this one, right? It has a lot of more functionality. I like a lot the fact that it allows you to even right click on a document, and then if you want to make it available offline, then the system, you could go through a place without connection to the internet, and then this file, a local copy, is going to be safe on your computer, right? So if you need to keep on working on that document, you can do so, and then as soon as you get connected back to the internet, it's going to sync back and forward, right? So whatever changes you made on this local safe document is going to be also reflected on the web as soon as you get internet connection. So things like that make it a great solution, right? And it simplifies the way that you work with ShareFile. So I strongly recommend you guys to go over that. If you need more information on the Citrix files for Windows, there's a Learn More button right next to it. So I strongly recommend you to guys click on it, and this will take you directly to the knowledge base article for this product, right? Where you can see like system requirements and best practices and all of that, right? So I hope that this helps you guys to have a better understanding of this tool. This is a great tool, and I strongly recommend you for you guys. So looks like we have time for one more question, right? Let's see how we can do that. Let's see any other question. All right. Okay. Is there any way for a client file uploads to go directly to the client folder, like an e-signature or a tax document upload? Yeah, that's something that you guys can do. What I will do is to basically just go and set up a client. There's many ways to do this. I'm going to try to use the time that we have left as wise as possible. Okay, so you set up a client, right? And this is unusual setup, the one that I'm going to show you. So there's a main folder under share folder named clients, and for each one of the clients, you have a folder set up for them. So on customer A, right, I have my own files here that I manage with customer A, right? So if I go to people on this folder, I should be able to add this user, this customer that I'm going to, give them access to this folder. So I'm just gonna add, for the sake of this demo, I'm just gonna use one of my peers. Yep. Actually, I don't have her here in this account. Sorry guys, I have plenty of accounts, so sometimes, there you go. You get confused. So now I just add Jonathan, right? Jonathan is a peer of mine, of course. However, for this demo, let's pretend that he's actually a client from company customer A, right? And I just set up this folder to collaborate with him, right? So this is the best way to actually gather information from him. Make sure that you give him upload access, because we want Jonathan to use this folder to pretty much upload files for me, right? If I want him to pick up files from this specific folder as well, let's say that I need to drop some forms that he needs to download and check them, and then sign them, and then upload them back again, then I should give them the default access, which will be upload, download, and view, right? Once he's there, he's gonna get a notification, and every time that he logs in, he will have access only to this folder, right? So he will be able to log into this folder, nothing else, right? And he will be able to, drop files here, right? Upload files, basically, or download the files that I set up for him. So this is the best way to actually make sure that you're gonna collect files only on the folders that you give access to that specific client. I hope that this helps, but yeah, that's basically the best way that I can advice. So guys, time is up. So thank you very much for joining today. I hope that most of your questions were answered. And if not, please keep on joining us. Remember that we also going to have the end user session this coming Thursday. And I really hope to see you guys there. If you have questions that were not answered today, please go ahead and join us this upcoming session. We have these sessions on bi-weekly basis. Remember to access as well the handout section on this GoToWebinar. This will allow you to download the document that has some reference on what you guys saw today. And again, thank you very much. If you like this initiative, please do let us know. There's going to be an NPS survey after you're done. We will really appreciate your feedback and how we're doing. Remember, this is all for you. If you have any suggestions on topics that we should touch or something else, please do let us know as well. For me, it has been a pleasure working with you guys, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I did. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. We're going to leave this session open for 5 additional minutes so everybody gets the chance to download the reference materials. Again, remember, it's on the handout section, and it will be there for 5 more minutes. Thank you once again. Enjoy a wonderful day.